To begin this morning's reflection, I want to share a second passage, and passage is a little bit of a stretch, I know. This is not taken from Scripture, and because it's offered by a poet who put many of his pieces to music, I want to share this with you. You'll remember that this piece was shared with us during Jane's sabbatical. Mary Kowalchuk actually sang it. And so I want to begin with the words of Johnny Reed. And I won't sing the whole piece, but I am going to sing a portion. Today I'm going to try and change the world. Gonna take it one day at a time. I made my resolution, I've opened up my eyes. Today I'm gonna try and change the world. I'm gonna say hello to my neighbor, greet him with a smile. Shake the hand of a stranger, sit and talk for a while. Tell someone I love them from the bottom of my heart. Today I'm going to try and change the world. Today I'm going to try and change the world. Gonna take it one day at a time. Made my resolution and I opened up my eyes. Today I'm going to try and change the world. Small things. Small things count. Reaching out to a neighbor, shaking a hand, telling someone you love them, telling someone thank you, expressing gratitude, expressing affection. I don't know if you've been watching your Facebook feeds or watching, it's been covered on the news, and it started with quite a horrendous situation, the revelations around sexual misconduct by first one producer and then by others, and it's sort of spread. And it birthed a movement, or more correctly, it rebirthed a movement. It's not the first time it's happened, but all of a sudden, if you're on Facebook, you started seeing #MeToo. #MeToo. And what happened was that first one actress came out and declared that and I'm not going to speak names, but declared that she had been assaulted. And then another actress and another actress and another actress, all by the same person. But then all of a sudden it took on a different life. And Me Too became the declaration of countless women across North America and then spreading to over Europe around their experience of sexual harassment, sexual assault, primarily in the workforce. As I've watched, I've been struck by the courage of people who have added their name. People who had not expressed that reality before. People in our community, people in St. Catharines, people in this church, people in my family who started to share Me Too. And then as you watch that unfold, very quickly, something else happened. And all of a sudden, another hashtag started. I will. And so the I will hashtag was the expression of men who were coming to a point of confession. So first of all, there was I have. I have done this. I have treated women unprofessionally. I have expected things from women that I had no right to expect. Sexual harassment. Some have admitted sexual abuse. And then it went to I will. I will, first of all, change. I will work harder at creating an environment, creating a society where these expressions, these realities are, can we ever totally annihilate them? I would like to think we can, but at least let's minimize them. Let's reduce them. Let's pull them back. Let's name them when we see them happening. Let's not make the women in our lives face these realities alone. Let's not make them try to have to hide them. All of that started with 2 words: Me Too. Me Too. And the first person who did it could not have envisioned where those 2 words would have taken us. And some are a little bit skeptical, and perhaps rightly so. A little bit skeptical that this avalanche of me too, I have, I will, let's commit, let's move forward, let's do something, let's be more proactive. That we've seen this before. We've seen it before, and now we're seeing it again. And so the question is, once the campaign ends, then what? But I don't know about you, but I'm feeling that there's something a little bit different this time. I hope that there's something a little bit different this time. I hope that we're actually moving in the right direction, but that we're prepared societally and individually to take that, to actually take the step. Churches are being confronted with how they have responded and how they have reacted in the past. And we need to own that and move forward. And I raise this question often in this sanctuary. If we don't, then who will? And if we don't, how can we expect others to do that? Me Too, two very small words, but that can actually lead to real change. I do. Again, 2 small words. But I am profoundly affected when I perform a wedding ceremony. I am profoundly affected by the strength and the impact of those 2 words. I do. I often ask couples right after the ceremony, and then maybe a week later or 2 weeks later or a month later or when I see them, do you feel different? Do you feel different? After you've spoken those words, I do. Because, again, there are all kinds of places where we can read and see that, marriage is an institution that's run its course. It's, why bother? You don't need to be married anymore. You don't need to stand in front of the community and say, I do, in order for you to be recognized as married. And that's probably a good thing. That's not I'm not saying that that's a negative shift forward or shift one way or the other. So the question that I get asked often is, why do people get married now? Like, what's the purpose? Why would same-sex couples want to enter into an institution that really a lot of the population is giving up anyway? I do. Two small words that when you talk to someone can have a profound impact on their lives. There is something to be said for, and there is something to be celebrated in the experience of that couple coming forward in front of friends and family and those who gather with them to celebrate a relationship that they have, that they see as, well, when I'm there, that they see as God commissioned, God called. God is present in that celebration, in those words, and the sharing of those two words, I do, profoundly changes lives. That admission, that calling upon the community for support in their journey forward. Me too. I do. And this morning, we're gathering to think about thank you. Thank you. What difference does that make? What difference does it make to say thank you? Don't they know it? They know I'm thankful. They know I'm grateful. Someone does something for me, well, they know. When my dad lends me his car, and tell him that I said something positive about him, okay? Because he always accuses me of picking on him and my mom. But when my dad lends me his car, or when the neighbor next door walks over, Mohammed, a new neighbor, he walked over one day with a basket of tomatoes. Well, he knows that I'm grateful. He knows that I appreciate that, right? Maybe. But there's a value in saying thank you. In that simple gesture of expression of gratitude. This morning, it was important. It's important to say to Betty, thank you for 20, 30, 40, and I'm not going to say 100 years of service to the community. I'm sure that Betty knows that every person who is gathered in that small sanctuary at Ina Grafton and every minister that she's accompanied into that service, I'm sure that Betty knows that they are grateful for her offering. I'm sure. But every once in a while, and we shouldn't just wait until Thanksgiving Day, and actually we should make it more of a practice. So not every once in a while, always. When somebody does something, when something happens, thank you. It's not that hard to let those words pass over our lips. To express that gratitude. And by doing that, we can, in the same way as Johnny Reed actually expresses in that song, like, how does it change the world for him to tell someone that he loves them? How does it change the world to reach out and to shake a hand? How does it change the world to tell a neighbor that you really appreciate them and their presence and that you want to know their name? It changes the world because small things count. Because by making that effort, it becomes more ingrained in what you do. But it also presents the challenge, almost, to that person to then reach out and do likewise. Someone once wrote, the most infectious thing in the world is a smile. Walk down the street and smile at the person walking towards you, and they will smile back, assuming they see you. Small things count, and small things can change the world. I am profoundly hopeful about what's going on the internet right now. Profoundly hopeful. And I hope that we are up to the challenge of the commitment that we are making societally in this, some are calling it a campaign. I'm not sure that it's a campaign. But we need to be prepared to step up and to act on what we are committing ourselves to. And I hold myself absolutely accountable to that movement. I now have nieces, sisters, and daughters. Who have let their name be made known. And to them, to everybody who has had the courage to enter into that conversation, I want to say thank you. To everybody who takes up the conversation, I want to say thank you. To anybody who needs to continue the conversation, I want to encourage you to find that ear who can listen and hear you. And to this community, where people can courageously stand up and say, me too, I have, I will, I do. I think that we all need to say thank you. That we have, under the guidance of the scriptures that we proclaim, created something of a community. Something of a community where those voices can be heard. Where those truths can be told, and where that change can be made. And by changing ourselves, we can. And I hope, and I have faith, that we will change the world. Thanks be to God.